For these upcoming problems, you want to use this table. The temperature is your X value, and then the number of visitors in thousands is your Y value. So we're just trying to track how many people come to a water park on the sunny days last summer. So in the next slide, we are going to create a trend line or line of best fit to help the company, help the water park business predict how many people will attend based on the temperature. Now I recommend going back and forth or copying this on your phone, taking a picture of it, so you can enter it in slide number 12. So in slide number 12, you're going to have the information. And I'm just making my screen smaller so I can enter this quickly. So 62, 67, 69, 70, 72. Now notice that 77 repeats. You want to write it as many times as it was given to get accurate data. And then notice as soon as you start typing the Y values, the trend line appears. That trend line is the whole reason why we're doing it on Desmos, is because it will be automatic for you. Now make sure you type it correctly. All right. And then if you notice below here, it gives you all the useful information that we need. We do not need the R squared. We don't need the residual plot. We do need the R coming up in the next slide, and we need the M and the B to create the trend line. So I'm actually going to copy that information. So I can use it for the next slide. But notice that the ordered pairs are not showing. You want to find where on your graph the ordered pairs are. So just follow the trend line and zoom so it's appropriate. So then in the next line, it says, what is the trend line of the equation? Now the equation is in y equals mx plus b, but we need the numbers for the m and the b. So that is where the information from the table is going to come into play. Now we found our m value to be 0.46, and we want to round to the nearest hundredth. And then our b value from the previous slide was 7.82289. So we're just going to round that to 7.822. Now once again, where I got that information from is located right here. So all I did was round it. And now the next question is, what is the R value? The R value is 0.76 because we want to round up. That 9 is bigger than 5. So we round up to the next biggest number. So 0.76. And how does this, if you were to draw the number line, remember negative 0.5, positive 0.5, 0.76 would be here, and that is the strong. And plus it's a positive number, so it's a strong positive. So you can do whatever you need to in this sentence. As long as you say strong positive, you can say it is past 0.5, it's bigger than 0.5, it's closer to 1, anything like that will be fine. Now in slide 14, we're going to use that trend line again. So our trend line was y equals and our M was 0.46x, and then our B value was 7.8, and then 2. So it says how many people in attendance will there be if it was 74 degrees. So our X value is 74. So just like the bell work, you're going to plug in 74 into the X value. And then you're going to evaluate it. You're going to let the calculator do the work for you. Now I even have a calculator built into this question. So 0.46. Use parentheses to show multiplying. And then you're going to get the answer of y equals 41.86. And that's really thousands. Because that's how many, that's the unit that they gave us in the previous slides. And then you're going to do the same thing for your turn. But remember, we're going to have that equation, still the same thing. Still y equals 0.46x plus the 7.82. And then instead of the degrees that we used in the last problem, we're going to use the degrees 82. And then we're going to use the calculator that is built into the slide. And then you are going to get y equals 45.54. So what does that mean? When the temperature is 82 degrees outside, the water park should have about 45.54 thousand visitors. In this video, we will be going over scatterplot classwork number 1. Now, we did the previous slides together in our Zoom meeting, and this was supposed to be your homework. If you struggled with it, make sure that you are contacting me so we can go over it. It says a history teacher asked her students how many hours of sleep they had before a test. The data below shows the number of hours a student slept and their score on the exam. On the next slide, we will transfer the data table to create a trend line, or a line of best fit for the data, to help the teacher make a correlation between the number of hours a student slept and their test scores. So I recommend taking a picture or just going back and forth, because you're going to be transferring this data table to slide number 17. Now when you get to slide number 17, do not delete the table. You want to write down every single data point, even if it repeats, because we're just transferring the data. Now I also recommend you double check the numbers that you enter. Because one small mistake will lead to incorrect data. I'm going to recheck 8, 2 7s, 8, 6, 5, 7, 4, 9, 7, 83, 86, 74, 88, 76, 63. Okay. Notice that the trend line, or the line of best fit, graphed, but you don't see any points. If you notice over on the x's, The smallest x is 4, and then the biggest x is 9. So we actually have to scroll over here, but then look at the y values. The y values are not from 0 to 6. They're like 63 to 90. So we're going to have to scroll up to see the data points because it's out of our view. Once you see the data points, you just want to kind of keep that there. And then notice right here, we are using decimals because it is the equation's already there. So I recommend taking a picture of the data. The only data you do not need is the r squared. You're not going to use that till college. We want the r, which is the correlation coefficient, and we want the m, and we want the b. Now we're going to go to slide 18. It says, what is the trend line? So remember, we need y equals mx plus b, and that previous screen gave us the m of 6.37755 and gave us the b of 35.6327. So we're just going to write y equals, I want to the nearest hundredth, so we have to look at this 7. It's bigger than 5, so I'm going to round up. So it's 6.38. Don't forget the x value. Now this is a 2, so I'm just going to do 35.63, and then that is our equation. Now in the same location, if you go back to the grid before, our R value is shown. Our R value is 0.8832. And this is where I got my M, this is where I got my B. So you're allowed to go back and forth. So when I switched screens, it erased. But my trend line, we said, was y equals 0.38x plus 35.63, and then the R value was 0.88. Now what is the correlation? Notice that this is a positive number. If we drew that number line, this is a positive 1, 0, negative 1. 0.88 is very close to 1, so that is strong. And since it's a positive correlation. So it's a strong positive correlation because 0.88 is very close to 1, and that's in the strong positive range. And of course you can word it differently, but as long as you use the word strong and positive, it will be fine enough for me. Now for this question, it says, if a student scored 90 on his test, how many hours did he sleep before? The hint was to use the table. So you want to go back to slide 16. We're looking for a score of 90, which is right here. So how many hours did that student sleep? It was 7. Now, if a student slept 10 hours, how much would he score on the test? Now, we want to use the trend line. So this is from the previous slide. So our equation is 6.38x plus 35.63. So we're going to plug in 10. And we're just going to use the calculator. So we're just going to plug in 6.38 parentheses 10, close the parentheses, plus 35.63. And you can just write the student will score around 99 on the test. Because we got 99.43. So you can say 99.43 or you could just round it. Alright, lastly, this was just a multiple choice. As the age of the car increases, the value is decreasing. So graph C would represent that trend. So remember, whenever you have an item increasing and another item decreasing, it has to be a negative correlation. And C was the only one that was a negative correlation.